Hey guys, welcome back. Welcome back. Here he comes.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. I just filmed my daily goodie box video, and he's filthy.
Wait.
We had a lot of rain, and it's muddy, and he's out here playing in the mud. So I'm sure he's gonna be popping in and out through this video. So okay, I didn't know if I was gonna make this video or when I was gonna make this video, and it's gonna be all over the place. But I just wanted to share this experience with you guys and tell my story because when this was happening to me, I know one of the first places I went was YouTube to see other people's stories. And so you can tell by the title of this video, I had a miscarriage. And I have put off making this video because I wanted to let myself heal from it physically, obviously, and emotionally because, it's been a while. It's been a little bit since I had it. I'm gonna go through the whole story. This is probably gonna be a lengthy video, and like I said, I'm probably gonna be jumping all over the place, but, I do feel like it will help me also to like tell the story, like, you know, just talk about it. I am gonna go into some details, like, you know, like personal, like bodily details, because like I said, once again, when I was going through this, I was looking online to see like other women's experiences with this when this happened to them, and so yeah, so I'm gonna tell you what happened to me. And forgive me if I don't seem like weepy or crying about it. Like I said, I wanted to let myself heal from it, and I didn't want to come on here and make a video when it was freshly happening because it just wouldn't have been good. Hi Sage. My dog's right here. It's not my birthday. Happy birthday. Richly. Oh, would you make me a cake? Oh, let's show everyone the cake that you made me. Lovely. Here you go. Thanks. Yum, 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 yum. Thanks, buddy. It was delicious. Okay, I'm gonna have dirt on me. Okay, so I have a bunch of notes on my phone because some of the details about this I may not really remember because it's been, I'm gonna let you know the timeline of when this all happened. But, so let me start at the beginning. So, if you're new here or anything, my name's Tiffany Johnson. I have a almost 3-year-old son. Huh? It's okay. Something in the ground? It's alright. My son will be 3 in January of 2023. I was one of those people that I didn't really know if I ever even wanted to have kids. It kind of scared me. Birth and all that kind of scared me, but obviously we had a child. My dog's right here. I don't know if you can see her. She's being goofy. I never really knew if I wanted to have a second. I am an only child. I have a couple like half siblings, but I essentially grew up an only child. And I enjoyed it. My husband has 2 siblings, so he always said, we gotta have another one. We can't just have one. So, but I never really knew, but we got to talking about it and things, and back in the summer, so I think it was, in like June of this year in 2022, we decided, maybe let's start trying for another. And so it took us June, July, and then in August. In the middle of August, I missed my period, and I took a pregnancy test, and it was positive. Like, very quickly showed positive. I only took 1 test. Like, I didn't have to go out and buy a bunch of tests. Like, 1 test showed me positive. So, and forgive me if I leave any details out. If I do, I will. She's alright. If I leave any details out, just ask me. If you got a question about anything, leave it below. So, tested positive, and I was excited. So typically your first prenatal appointment that you go to is when you're around 8 weeks. That's what they do at my doctor anyways. And so I called and got like our first appointment set up and everything, and I have my little list of notes here. So we had our first appointment on September 12th. So at that point, I was measuring on my own to be like around 8 weeks along. And so up to that point, before my appointment, I had actually been started having some, regular pregnancy symptoms. I had started like averting certain foods. I didn't do that a lot with my son Ridgely. When I was pregnant with him, it was fairly smooth sailing through the whole pregnancy. I didn't really get that sick or anything, like pregnancy or like morning sickness or anything. But oh, Sage is gonna lay right there perfectly. I was actually having more like sickness, morning sickness than aversions to foods and like than I had with my son. Not like throwing up or anything like that, but just noticing it more, that my stomach felt weird. So anyways, so we went to our first appointment on September 12th, and I had no indications that anything was wrong. I had had no spotting. Like I said, I'd been having all the regular symptoms, and yeah. So we go into our appointment. It was all normal, and they go to do the ultrasound, and they did the ultrasound, and the doctor, she was kind of fiddling around with the machine there for a little bit, and it was kind of quiet, and then she's like, I'm gonna go get Dr. So-and-so, and I need him to help me look at something here. Actually, maybe, I can't remember exactly. She might have told us before that she couldn't find a heartbeat. And so she said, she was kind of a newer doctor, and so she called a more seasoned doctor in to double check. And he came in and like said, yes, I'm gonna agree with Dr. So-and-so here that I can't see a heartbeat. And I was measuring it right about 8 weeks that we could see the baby and everything, but there was no heartbeat. And I remember them telling me they could see no blood flow through the umbilical cord. So, it had been like, around that appointment, like the baby had lost its heartbeat just in the last like day or two around my appointment. So, of course, like I said, I had no indication anything was wrong. And so I immediately just started busting out in tears, and they're like, okay, we're gonna give you guys a minute, because my husband was there with me, and we had a moment and everything. And it's just shock. Like, you never expect to go in and hear news like that. It's not something that you expect to hear. So they let us know that, and then they came back in, and she's like, okay, we're gonna go over your options of what to do now. So she said, we're gonna have you come back she said, okay, she told me, she's like, this is what you can do. She's like, you can have what they call a DNC. I forget what that exactly stands for, but it's a surgery where they put you to sleep and they have to take the baby out of you. And then when you get up, it's like, it's just gone. It's, you don't have like much to deal with, I guess. They just take it out. I don't know, it's all the ins and outs of that. Then she said we can also give you a pill that is called Cytotec, which will help your uterus to contract and start this process of miscarriage on its own. She said, or you can choose to go home and let your body do this naturally. And she said, so do you know what you want to do? And I was like, I said, I would like to wait for my body to do this on its own, because I didn't want to have surgery. That's scary. And I did not want to introduce some kind of drug into my system if I didn't need to. So she's like, okay, we'll just have you come back in a week and we'll check you from there and see if there's any change. And so this is where all my notes start. We went back a week later. There was no change. The baby looked the same. I had no bleeding. I have it here that I had a tiny amount of brown discharge, but it was super minimal. And then at that appointment, they was measuring me. The baby was 7 weeks and 4 days. So between 7.5, to 8 weeks was when the baby's heartbeat stopped. And there was no change, and they kind of did the same thing. They're like, okay, well, you can keep waiting. They're like, we will let you wait 2 more weeks before we will kind of make you do a drug or something. And once again, I opted to go home and let this happen on my own. That was probably one of the worst parts of this miscarriage, was the waiting. Okay, sorry. He was getting into the goat feed. I had to stop him. Okay. Anyways. So that was the worst part, was the waiting, because it's like every single time you go to the bathroom and you wipe, you're just like, is this the time I'm gonna see some blood? How's this gonna happen? Like I said, I was constantly Googling things, looking up YouTube videos. Sorry, I'm out of breath because I chased him across the yard. So I had an appointment. They gave me 2 more weeks before they were gonna say, we'll make you take that Cytotec pill to like make something happen. So I eventually started having some consistent like brown colored light discharge kind of stuff. And then one day I had some very light cramping. I was just being super in tune with my body is what I was doing. I was just, like I said, every time I went to the bathroom, I was looking for stuff. And then every time I would feel anything, I'd be like, oh, is this cramping? Is it getting ready to start? What's happening? But after 1 week of just the brown discharge that I had, I started having occasional like bright red streaks, like very minimal stuff, and noticing like a little bit more smaller clots, like not even like period clots, like just I was just starting to notice that something was happening, you know. And I was happy that I wasn't gonna have to take the medicine, because I just didn't want to do that, because I was reading lots of bad side effects from it. But so from the day that they told me there was no heartbeat, that was September 12th. The day I started bleeding was September 29th, and that's 17 days. So it took me over 2 weeks to start bleeding on my own. And that was, like I said, just like the longest 2 weeks ever. I was afraid to go anywhere. I really didn't go anywhere for those 2 weeks because I was afraid I was gonna get out somewhere and it was gonna happen. So it was just seemed like a very long waiting game. But I'm glad that I did it that way. I don't think I would have wanted to take the medicine and start it any earlier. So yeah. So how the bleeding thing happened was, sorry if you hear Ridgely, he's right here by me playing. But so what happened was, it happened in the middle of the night for me, is how it happened. Which worked out good because I wasn't having to chase Ridgely around. My husband was home, and you know, if I needed any help, my husband was home or whatever. Because when this started, I basically sat on the toilet for like 3 hours. Like mine was very instant. Like I said, I was having some of that very light discharge stuff, but it was never like bad. Like when mine started, it started. It just kind of all of a sudden in the middle of the night, I got up and went to the bathroom, and it was like the heaviest bleeding I've ever had in my life. And I've always had what I've considered like heavy periods. This was like, blew that out of the water. This was super heavy. Like I said, I sat on the toilet for like 3 hours because I just kept wiping and kept wiping, and it was just more and more, and big clots. Like, I think the biggest clot that I remember passing, blood, you know, like blood wise, was probably like a golf ball, maybe not quite a golf ball size. Nothing that makes you just go like, but it's like, you know, it's big. Mine was big, but it wasn't like horrifyingly huge, if that makes any sense. But every time I would think, okay, maybe I'm done now, I would try to get up, and I would just feel a more gush of things. And so that's why I just sat there. It was so uncomfortable sitting on the toilet for that long. And I I sat there and I cried. And I did have, I was having some cramping with it, but overall, the cramping and pain from it was not any different than like a bad period for me. And I was glad for that, because I was pretty anxious about how the pain was gonna be. But it really wasn't that horrible pain-wise. So the super heavy stuff lasted for about 3+ hours. And like I said, luckily it was the middle of the night, so I wasn't having to like worry about crazy boy, you know, chasing him around or anything. I was able to just sit there and, you know, deal with it. So I wasn't completely inspecting everything that came out, but and they told me this at the doctor, that at the gestation that I was at, like around 8 weeks, that what you pass, you probably won't be able to tell. You probably won't be able to tell that it's the baby, like because it's so small at that point. I think some of my pregnancy apps I was using at the time were telling me the baby was like a kidney bean, so like, you know, very small. So if you pass that and it's got blood with it, you may not notice it. And so I didn't ever notice anything that looked like, you know, the baby. And so I try not to think about that too much. A lot of women they'll put like a sifter or whatever you want to call it, like they want to inspect everything that comes out, and they want to catch the baby if they can, and like, you know, bury it or whatever you want to do. But I just kind of let everything go. I just let it all go. So because I just let it all go. So after the bad bleeding and all that, I have written down here that I bled for about 5 or 6 days. So for me, that's like a typical period. I remember it being kind of, you know, heavy there for like a couple days, and then just, you know, kind of slowly tapering off. This was the next thing that got like really frustrating. So, probably like around the last day of my bleeding, I remember this. I was down on the floor changing his diaper, because I just do it. I change his diapers on the floor. I was down on the floor changing his diaper, and I had been wearing, whenever you have a miscarriage, you're not supposed to wear tampons. You just wear pads, so this whole time that I'm bleeding and stuff, I just stayed home, because I don't like wearing a big old pad going out anywhere. But anyways, so I'm squatted down on the floor changing his diaper, and I felt just like all of a sudden just something just came out of me, and it was like, it just felt like, it almost reminded me of when my water broke with him. Like it just like something came out that you couldn't control it, and I was like, I gotta go to the bathroom. And I ran to the bathroom, and I actually like looked at it, like I inspected it, because I still don't know what it was. It was not the baby, I don't believe, but it was a big wad of tissue kind of stuff. Like, I don't even know how to explain it, but when it came out, it just slipped right out, and it wasn't even really bloody. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know what it was exactly. It was just part of all the things that come out, but that was the one like big, I guess, tissue chunk that came out, and caught me by surprise. I went to my appointment that I had scheduled, and I had just kind of finished the bleeding. If I'd go to the bathroom, I'd wipe, there would just be like barely anything, if nothing at all. And so they're like, okay, well, the next step is, it sounds like you've miscarried on your own. They didn't do an ultrasound to check that everything was cleaned out. They just kind of took my word for it. They said, okay, the next step is we need you to pass a pregnancy test, or get like a negative pregnancy test, because we want to make sure your HCG level goes down to 0, which that's like the pregnancy hormone. And so, like I said, at that point, I was just at the tail end of my bleeding. And so they did a pregnancy test, they did a blood test, and just like a regular pee test. And both of them, the blood test and the pee test, both showed faintly pregnant. I can't remember what my number was at on my blood, But they're like, okay, you're still reading pregnant, but it sounds like you're still maybe passing a few things. And so they had me come back. They wanted me to come back in 2 weeks. And they said, we'll draw another lab, we'll get, do more blood work, and they want the pregnancy levels to be at 0. So I leave that appointment, and the next day, the doctor calls me and says, we tried to catch you before you got out of here yesterday, but so my blood type is A negative, which I guess is more of a rare blood type. Well, I didn't really forget about it, but I didn't know it was a thing. So when I was pregnant with Ridgely, partway through my pregnancy, I had to get what they call a RhoGAM shot. RHOGAM, a RhoGAM shot. Don't ask me how it all works, but it's because of my blood type. And they don't want my blood type to mix wrongly with the baby's blood type, or my blood can like attack the baby's blood if it's a certain way. I don't understand how it works, but so I had to get a shot while I was pregnant with him, and then right after I had him in the hospital, they had to give me another one. Well, unbeknownst to me, if you have a miscarriage, and I have A negative, you're supposed to get a RhoGAM shot after a miscarriage, and they didn't give that to me at my appointment. So I got really annoyed with my doctor because they were like, we need you to come back in because you need the shot, and there's kind of like a timeline on it. You're supposed to get it like pretty soon after you miscarry, and they didn't give it to me. I don't know how they missed that, but I live an hour away from my doctor, so because I'm in the middle of nowhere. But anyway, so I was kind of annoyed, but the next day I went and got the special shot that they wanted me to get. I went in after the 2 weeks to do another pregnancy test, did it, and I do remember this time they told me I was still reading pregnant 2 weeks later. I had been done bleeding for like however long. I had had another period already. Like, my cycle came back really fast. I was not expecting it to come back so fast. I'd already had my period, and I was still reading. My HCG level was a 7. I remember that, because they told me anything 5 or above is not, we want to fix that or get it below that. And so I was so annoyed, because then I had to go back like a week later and get another blood test, and then finally I was at 0. So I finally got the call on, I have it here, November 7th. So just about a month ago, a little over a month ago, I finally got the call that my pregnancy level was at a 0. But I felt like this whole miscarriage process just drug on because of the constant testing. I think I ended up having to, like, in total, I went to the doctor like 5 or 6 times combined, and like, there in a couple months for everything, and it was getting really annoying to have to keep going back. But I understand why they wanted me to come back, but it got annoying, and it just kept, just bringing it up again, like the miscarriage, like, you gotta keep having stuff done about it. But anyways, they did tell us there whenever I tested 0, finally, they said, okay, we're gonna recommend, they said, we know this was a wanted pregnancy, and so they said, if you are wanting to try again, they're like, we recommend that you wait another, like, a month from now to start trying again. So, but we're gonna see what happens. It's all in God's hands, basically. So I know this is all part of his plan. It's not always easy to understand it, but that's just what I keep having my brain on, is that this is all part of a plan. So yeah, so we were just pretty devastated by it, because I mean, obviously it was a wanted pregnancy, and then now it's just drug out longer, so it's like, ugh. You see oh, we got an airplane? But oh, and I was only 8 weeks along, but we had literally just announced to our family that everything, that we were pregnant and everything. We got really excited, and so we announced before we normally would. What are you doing, boy? You're up on the steps. Come back. Let's not play on the steps. Come back down, please. But yeah, we had just like announced to everybody, and so that made it even more hard because then we had to make the phone calls and, you know, and texts and things to tell everybody. And also, I've learned through this whole experience how, sadly, how common miscarriage is. Like, I guess it happens, like, what is it, like 1 in 4 women experience, or 1 in 4 pregnancies ends in a miscarriage or something. Like, it's so common, and there's just, you know, you just don't hear people talk about it a ton. So that was another reason that I wanted to make this video. Was just to share my experience. And hey, airplane's coming. An old piece of tape. Nice. Cool airplane, buddy. I never, this is, you know, just more of my head rambling on. I never, we never found out like what the gender was, so I don't know if it was a boy or a girl. And I don't know if I would want to know at this point. I don't know, but yeah. I had actually bought one of those sneak peek tests, if you've heard of those, where you can draw your blood at home and send it in, and they will tell you if it's a boy or girl, like super early. You know, usually you have to wait till like the 20-week mark to do your ultrasound. Like when you're halfway done through your pregnancy, you get the ultrasound and they can tell you boy or girl. Well, this would tell you, I think it's like 6 weeks, as early as 6 weeks or something like that. You can send your blood in and it can give you like a pretty accurate assessment of, you know, boy or girl. I had bought one of those tests. I was literally going to do the test and send it in like the next day after our first appointment. But I'm glad that I didn't do that, I guess. But I have it tucked away. I have the test tucked away, so if God decides to bless us with another one, then I can use it then. But yeah, it makes me like, if I get pregnant again, like I don't know if we want to jump the gun and like share so soon. We did never share it on social media or anything. There's like, I have a lot of family members that don't even know about this happening, because I don't know, it's just kind of something you don't want to talk about, but you want people to be aware of that it happens, you know what I mean? So I'm basically 3 months out from the miscarriage, you know, knowing about it. And I feel like, I mean, yes, of course there's difficult times when I think about it.
Oh, pain.
Oh.
Oh, pain.
There's difficult times when I think about it. You know, I have moments where I get sad and things, but I feel like I've healed, and I feel like I'm ready, definitely ready to try again. So yeah. And if we do get pregnant in 2023, I will let you guys know. But like I said, we're just gonna see what God's plans are for us, because we don't know. We never know what's gonna happen. But if anybody watching this video has went through a miscarriage or anything like that, I sympathize with you, because I know how it feels. And I never, you know, you never think that's something that you're gonna go through until it happens to you, and then it's, I don't know, but I could probably go on talking about this for a while, but I've been wanting to make this video for a while. But like I said, I didn't want to jump the gun and start talk about it before I was really done healing from it completely, you know? But anyways, thanks for being here, guys. And if you have any questions or comments, or you want to tell me about your experience, if you feel comfortable doing that, tell me in the comments below. And I love you guys, and I hope you guys are having a good day when you're watching this. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!